I'm somebody who comes along and asks those kind of questions that normally we ask only at about 3 o'clock in the morning when we're panicked and we're wondering about our relationships and our love life and our children and our money and our careers. And that's my day job. My day job is to take the 3 a.m. crisis questions and look at them at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's what I do. And I write books about them and I think about them. And it's the problems of the rich countries that interest me. It's the problems of what happens when a country is prosperous, like the Netherlands or the UK or Korea. Problems don't end. People start to have a new sort of problem. They know they're going to have enough food on the table the next day, but they are still anxious and envious and troubled. And I've always been fascinated by these problems. Some people, to relax, they go jogging, they drink, they whatever. I think. I love thinking.
That calms you down.
It calms me down. I have a hot bath with a pad of paper and a pen, and I just love thinking. And I'm an intellectual, not because I know anything, but because the best way to calm me down is just to give me a pad of paper, and I think about it. It's the best thing we've got. You know, as human beings, many things we can't solve. We're going to die, we're going to be afraid, etc.
But I can spend hours thinking about stuff and I don't solve it.
You're thinking in the wrong way. You know, when people say thinking is dangerous for you, you can think too much. Nonsense. You can never think too much. You can only think badly. And when you think badly, it's like you're trying to, you know, catch your own tail. There are ways of thinking well and thinking badly. And I'm very interested in my work, in helping people to be more productive in their thought processes.
One of, I'd say, the most appealing thing is that you're basically not afraid to discuss suffering.
Well, you know, the funny thing is we live in a very optimistic society. How are you doing? Great. How are you doing? Great. And meanwhile, inside, we're all dying and crying. And this is why art, broadly speaking, is very important. Because in works of art, you know, you open up the book and you realize, hey, wow, life's suffering. We're all afraid and lonely and we're all going to die. But meanwhile, among friends and in conversation, without anyone meaning to be superficial, it's superficial. I think because...
Why can't we change that, though? Why can't we say my day sucked?
Because I think it's asking too much of people. You know, if somebody says, hi, how are you doing? And they've got about 1 minute, and you go, you know, I'm having an existential crisis, and I think I'm going to leave my wife. Oh, okay, great. And
see you later.
You know, see you later. You can't. So it's putting a great burden. I don't, you know, I understand why we're superficial, but let's at least recognize that we are that. And I think all of us imagine that other people's lives are less full of suffering than our own. We're all thinking, what's wrong with me? Right, all of us, in the middle of the night, in our hearts, we think, what's wrong with me? How come other people know how to live? How come Linda de Mol knows how to live? She's got a secret. Meanwhile, she's in bed at 3 a.m., aren't you? Yeah. You're in bed going, I don't know what the meaning of life is, right?
I recognize this true.
Exactly.
Yes, of course.
So we're all in private. As you know, and why is your book so popular? Because it recognizes that a great man has suffering and that life is difficult. And what we all want, everybody wants to know that we're all a little crazy and we all don't know what's going on.
Because that soothes us. It doesn't necessarily solve our problems, but at least we know that we're not alone in our horrific suffering.
Right. Let's remember Christianity. What was Christianity based on? Suffering. If you have a religion on suffering, you're in the money. You're in the business. It just so happens that nowadays everything's very cheerful. And that's not so good. Yeah. So
your most recent book is called The News, a User's Manual. It's basically about our collective obsession, I'd say, with the news.